The next class was chemistry. The teacher took the book, would read it in front of the class, word for word, out of the book, monotone, and half the class was asleep, the other half wasn't paying attention. And what's the situation here? Well, Mr. Wild is actually getting paid less than this chemistry teacher because he worked there one less year. It's a purely tenure-based system. And what does that do? Every other industry, you look at corporate finance, you look at university, you look at everything, there's always a component of performance benefit in the compensation structure. Every single industry, except for the government monopoly industry. And that's got to change. And what it does is it affects the quality of the education. Your best teachers do not have the incentives to remain as teachers, and they look for other opportunities. Your worst teachers are asked to move into another industry, and they stay in the industry and continue to affect the quality of education. We need to stop talking about how complicated this issue is, and we need to address it. That's why we're here today. We need to restore the protection of private property. This government has an absolutely abysmal record on private property. You look at Bill 36, I like to call it the Land Expropriation Act. Look at Bill 50 with the power lines. The recent plan to steal up to 20% of oil sands leases that the government already auctioned off. And of course, what we're all aware of is the royalty regime instability that's been happening. It boggles the mind that a quote-unquote conservative government would have such an awful record on private property. And if nothing else, this is one of the main reasons the Wild Rose Party has to get in there. We have to get in there. We need to get us elected so that we can stop the chaos that's happening on the private properties file. Let's talk for a minute about oil sands. So, I talked about expropriation. Instead of expropriating land from the oil sands, we need to be protecting and defending the oil sands. Imagine for a second that you're from another planet. You come to the Earth, and you go and you look at you go to the Gulf of Mexico and you witness the BP oil spill over there, and you think, wow, this is such an environmental tragedy. What a terrible thing this is. And then you come up to Edmonton and you go up to Fort McMurray, and you look at the oil sands and you look at these people, and they're taking this sand that is 20% of it is oil. And they're taking that oil out of the sand, they're sending it away, they're putting the sand back into the ground, and over 40 to 50 years they're reclaiming the land. And you're saying, wow, this is an incredible environmental reclamation project going on. We need a paradigm shift when it comes with respect to the oil sands. Absolutely, there's such thing as responsible development. But we need to start educating people on what these things are. I wrote my thesis on the impacts of CO2 legislation on the oil sands. I looked very carefully at the oil sands. I spent the last many years in industry working as an oil sands analyst. I understand this industry, and I can defend the industry, and we need to stand up and defend this development. What does this development do? This development provides jobs. It provides a massive amount of revenue for our province, for other services like healthcare and education. It's an incredibly important development, and it's under attack right now by extremists. Folks like James Cameron would have us believe a false economy. They would have us believe that you either love the environment or you love the development of the oil sands. That's a false economy. It's not true. You can do both. Some developments, that is the case. It depends on, it's a case-by-case basis. In the case of the oil sands, this is a temporary development where we're removing oil and then reclaiming the land. There's nothing to be ashamed of in this, and we need to defend it. We need to restore free speech. We need to restore free speech in our province. There's the philosopher, I'm going to paraphrase here, but Voltaire, you may have heard of him. He said something to the effect of, I may not agree with the words you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. I love that quote, because it encompasses the essence of free speech. There is an organization or an institution in Alberta right now that pretty much has the opposite philosophy, and that's the Alberta Human Rights Commission. This is a commission that is a witch hunt, and it goes after people and it attacks free speech. If I was elected, I would do everything in my power to see that commission is dissolved. We need a government who represents the taxpayer. The government, the PC government, quote-unquote, negotiated a 6% raise for the AHS bureaucracy right at the height of the recession. They negotiated a 4.4 increase for the ATA this year at a time when the inflation rate is about 0%. This isn't a negotiation. This is nobody's looking out for the taxpayer. They're sitting down and they're saying, okay, how much do we have to do in order to get your votes? That's what it really boils down to. And that's wrong. We need somebody, a government, a person in there who's going to stand up and say no, and is going to defend the taxpayer in these negotiations. Our team is ready. As Hal mentioned, we have the most articulate, we have the most intelligent, most capable leader of any party in this province right now. We are poised to improve our great province. We're not a people who stand idly by and watch while political parties falter and lose their way. I mean, you just look back at the Reform Party in the 90s. We stepped up, we changed it. We changed it then and we're changing it now. I'm absolutely proud to be numbered with you guys. I'm excited that you're part of the start of a movement that is going to change this province and improve this province. I would ask for your vote on May 3rd, and I thank you very much for your time.